Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video, we're going to take a look at the build of the week. And for this week, the build of the week is the Sworn Enemies category. Now, the Sworn Enemies category is basically, from what I can understand, the main enemy from each arc during Dragon Ball all the way up to the end of Dragon Ball Z. At least that's what it seems to me. Plus, it also includes Golden Frieza as well. So the Sworn Enemy category is interesting, to say the least. It's obviously got, quite a few good units. It's got a very interesting collection of units. One thing I will say though is it does lack synergy, because a lot of these units are extreme units, and extreme units are very different to, like Super or Pure Saiyan or Hybrid Saiyan units, in that they usually have very specific link sets. So the one thing we can really kind of already surmise is that this is going to be a team of different rotations. So basically, to build a Sworn Enemies team, you're going to have two kind of floating rotations. Maybe you're going to have a sitting support or a floater, or you're going to build a subcategory into a Sworn Enemies team. That's kind of the way you go about it. Generally speaking, there's not a lot more ways to build a team than that. In terms of free-to-play units, I think generally it's pretty strong in terms of free-to-play units. They have some really good units that are usable in a lot of situations. So there's quite a few decent options when it comes to free-to-play to kind of quantify different scenarios. You've got some AoE units, you've got some really strong floating units like the Prime Battle Frieza, you've got really strong solid niche situational units like the Int Final Form Frieza, you've got really strong floating defensive units like Mecha Frieza, and yeah, just in general you have some really strong kind of vibes with the units. I think the free-to-play units in this section are strong, and I think in general are quite reliable. So yeah, I would say like that's generally where I'd stand with things, and how I'd say things will probably look and run very well. In terms of the actual team build, like I said, it's a bit difficult in terms of links on what to prioritize, but I would say the one thing you can kind of prioritize is at least big bad bosses. This link's relatively consistent across the Sworn Enemies category. Most Cells, most Freezers, and most, at least, Boo tanks and Kid Boo units have big bad bosses. So there is some kind of synergy with that, but beyond big bad bosses, they don't really share a lot of links. Margin units rely on the Margin link to get their key. Cells rely on Messenger from the Future, Dismal Future, Attack of the Clones, Gentleman for their key, Shocking Speed. Whereas Freezers rely on Strongest Clan in Space, and generally, Terrifying Conquerors or Thirst or Conquest based links, etc. So link wise, not necessarily the wildest kind of synergy, but obviously if you really want to look at it, a solid enough kind of sharing of big bad bosses, which I think for the most part covers like the teams well enough, at least for me. I find that it covers things well enough. I think most players are covered if you have big bad bosses, but again, you're definitely going to be running two different rotations. Now, one thing that's a little bit annoying is if there's like a card that has a subunit on it. So for example, Cell and Cell Jr. for the one physical LR, that LR won't be on Sworn Enemies, which is a little bit frustrating. And it also seems like they stopped Sworn Enemies at the end of Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if that's because Goku Black's not really a Sworn Enemy, or if they don't count Baby or anything like that. I'm not entirely certain as to why they decided to stop the Sworn Enemies category to kind of limit it in that way. it doesn't really make sense to me, but again, you know, it is what it is. I think a lot of players at the end of the day aren't too phased by it, but I think it could just add a little bit more to the category. You know, no Mega Shenron, no anything like that. So it is what it is. I think at the end of the day, the Sworn Enemies team is probably best represented by having split rotations, either a margin rotation or a cell rotation or a freezer rotation. Now you don't have to do this. You could build, you know, the entire team under one subcategory, and we'll take a look at that now. But generally speaking, I find that doing sub rotations tends to have the team looking the best. So having like int cell and AGL cell, transforming cell in one rotation, having physical LR Boo and strength Kid Boo on another rotation. Strength transforming Boo is a great option on JP, or having like golden freezers and, you know, full power freezer or full power freezer and, you know, AGL golden freezer on one rotation is also a solid enough, you know, kind of category. General Tao, although he's under this category, doesn't really work here, and it's the same with Demon King Piccolo. Like, I think you could maybe run a combo of the two of them, but they're just not really strong enough to warrant it, if I'm being honest. They do both have Guidance to the Dragon Balls, they do both have the Incredible Adventure, which is at least, well, no, they don't even have that. So yeah, they really don't link up well. It's just not a pairing to run. Of course, you can also run, you know, variations of these teams. So you can run, for example, an entire Cell team. You can run an entire Majin Buu based team. You can run an entire Wicked Bloodlines team, and you can use these sub categories to obviously complete Sworn Enemy challenges. So if you're looking to do a Sworn Enemies challenge for, let's say, like an LGEGT or something, and you need to use, you know, a whole Wicked Bloodlines team, it's not really the end of the world, but obviously it kind of defeats the point in running Sworn Enemies. Now, Sworn Enemies is a good category, I think, but what it does suffer from is two things. Being an extreme team, it generally relies on link leveling, especially with big bad bosses. Very big boost for units. And then secondly as well, I think the margin side is a little bit weak. Now that could also change. JP, for example, has picked up a new LR Super Boo, who is a Sworn Enemies category unit, and that's great. So that can boost that side of the spectrum. But I think in general, just looking at, you know, the category and everything, I think you definitely need to consider link leveling, and probably dupes as well really help this team. But yeah, that's it from me. Let me know what you guys think about the category, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye.